Hi folks, thanks for joining me for this week's river tutorial. What you see in the vise is a Claret Emerger. So without further ado, let's get into it. In the vise then is a Hanak treble 3 barbless hook. This one's at size 12. As you can see, it's a fine wire hook in black nickel. Now I'm using size 12 for demonstration purposes, but I would generally tie this fly in size 16s, maybe as big as a 14, but not a 12 generally for the rivers. It might work for the still waters, but I just think it's a little big for the rivers. So the thread I'm going to be using initially is the Semperfly Nano silk. It's at 50 denier, and as you can see, it's a black thread. It's extremely strong, very much like the Vivus 50D white that I used. So I'm just going to get some wax on this, and I'm going to catch in just behind the eye, leaving myself plenty of room to work. I'm going to go down the hook about halfway down the shank, and then in open turns come all the way back to just before the eye of the hook. I can then remove my waste. Next then, I'm going to add my CDC. The CDC I'm using is from Troutline. It's the Tyres bulk pack. Now I'm using 3 plumes for this because it's a size 12, but generally you get away with just 2 plumes. So the length I want is approximately the length of the shank of the hook, and again I'm going to come in just a couple of turns, and I want to just see the overall proportions. That looks okay. Just bring that more across to my side. Now I'm happy with it, I can clamp it down there. I'm just going to lift the front and get a couple of turns in front. I want to cock that hackle up if I can, so that it sits under the water like an emerger. But I'm not too worried, because when I come up and finish with my dubbing later, I'll be able to cock it even more. Now the next part's quite important. You need to get a really good taper into the body, and this is how you do it. So I'm cutting diagonally down through my waist. Just put that away to the side, and then I'm going to take my time and clamp that down. And by doing this, you can see a nice taper forming, which is what I want. And then once I've got down to the bottom, now I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but I've got a really nice taper going on there. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with this. And what's that, you ask? Well, I'm just going to show you. It's this stuff from Troutline. It's called Special Emerger thread, and the one I'm using is Claret. So I've got that on a bobbin, and what I want to do is catch that in with my tying thread at the base of the fly. And then I can come all the way up to the top, and I'm just going to park my bobbin at the side here. Now for the moment, what I want to do is remove this thread. So I'm just going to come in with my whip finish tool and cast off the thread for the moment, but we will be coming back to our Semperfly thread. So next then, with the special thread on the bobbin, I can start to create my body, and this is a great little product. It saves so much time trying to wind it on or create the same effect with dubbing. Just ideal. Get a really buggy looking body. So once I get up near the thorax, you can see I've still got about 1 millimetre to go before I reach where the fly finished. I'm just going to put a half hitch in to hold it into place with my fingers. Doesn't need to be super tight, because once I've cast that off, I'm going to come back over with my Nano silk once I've got a little bit of wax on there to catch that all in. And I want to come back approximately 1/8 of an inch. Then I can remove my waste. And the dubbin I'm going to be using is from a box of dubbins that I've not got labelled. And basically, this is an old Davy Wharton box, and I've filled it full of dubbings that I've picked up over the years. Some of it's seals fur, some of it's seals fur substitute. But I've selected the Claret, and this Claret has a tiny little fleck of silver going through it. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but it's quite a nice one. First thing I'm going to do though before that is add some tacky wax to my thread, just to help get the dubbin to adhere to the thread. It can be a bit unruly, this stuff. And that should be more than enough for this fly. So I'll just come over and start to build my thorax. Now, that's plenty big enough, and what I'm going to do is really tighten down on my dubbin now. Then I'm going to lift the front and just get a bit of dubbin all the way in. And what that does is it cocks the hackle up, so when it sits in the water the body is below and the hackle sits up. So as usual, to finish off, a little bit of UV resin onto the thread. Then you can come in with your whip finish tool, get everything back out the way, then remove your excess thread. Don't forget to zap it with a torch, as I often do. Then that'll just secure that in there. Now, before you finish off, if you come in with your dubbing brush and just tease out some of the fibres from the thorax, as well as the body, so that it's quite a woolly body. And what you get with this Troutline special body thread is it does ping out. Now, if there's any threads that you think's not going to help you, if you get a pair of tweezers and just remove them. You can use scissors, and sometimes, depending on the fly, I do, but for this fly I like to just pick at it with the tweezers till I'm happy. And that's a cracking little fly. Now, if you treat that with some gink or up high and dry, it'll float all day for you, till you get a fish, of course, and then you're in trouble. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click the button and I'd very much appreciate it.